right, everybody in the Travel Cafe, wake up. We are here live once again. It's the 66th annual Ford Boat Sport and Travel Show. I'm your host of Indy Sports Show Live, Bryan Paynter, and we are now into the afternoon. The show doors opened at 10 o'clock, and it's amazing to me, almost every seat in the Travel Cafe is full now, and we are having a great time doing the Indy Sports Show Live. You can connect IndySportsShow.com and all of the channels, YouTube and Facebook, that Renfro Productions has, whether it's the Motorcycle and Power Sports Expo, the Deer Turkey Waterfowl Expo, or of course the Ford 66th Annual Ford Boat Sport and Travel Show, all live on Facebook and YouTube. You know, the great thing about this type of a show, the largest sports show in the nation, is the number of people that come out here. It's a diverse group of like-minded people, friends, coming out here getting belly to belly with some of the greatest, not just seminar teachers, but folks that are in the boat, competitively fishing, whatever breed, stock, or style you like to do, you're going to find them here at this show. As you can see, I have donned the worldwide cap. That means that I am with James Watson. James Worldwide Watson, as he's known on some 50,000 Instagram followers, the real James Watson. It's great to be with you, my friend.
Thanks for having me, Bryan.
Oh, you are truly a character out here, and I know you've got some great shows, you'd love to do the shows. We were talking before we went live. Show season's kind of a special time for you, isn't it?
I enjoy show season. One, it's very profitable.
Let's just cut right to the chase. Thank you, Renfro Productions.
So it's a good way for anglers like me that fish full time to make some money, go out and showcase our talents and our expertise. So if you've been to the Renfro Productions in Cincinnati this year, you're going to see and hear the same pitch from me.
Well, we love to do this. It's the, they've taken what we've done out here live broadcasting and just turned it into something so much fun. We get great people. Look at the Travel Cafe. It is the Terry Stacy from WIBC.
I take it you know her.
Smile pretty. And, you know, the seminar speakers, the Hog Trough, you did the Cincinnati show as well. It was great that Renfro Productions brings back that tradition of fishing, which had turned into kind of a boat show, but they bring back the Hog Trough. You're there in Cincinnati, you're here, and you're going to be doing some shows at 2 and 7. You're going to be doing some top water later this afternoon. What are you going to be doing at 2 o'clock?
2 o'clock, I'm going to talk about spoonjacking boat docks.
Spoonjacking boat docks.
It's a specific technique that came from the Ozarks, Table Rock Lake, where I live, and I was able to take it out on the road and do well with it in other deep clear water lakes.
So you're now in Missouri. You live on Table Rock, as you said. That's home to some other professional bass anglers, and you were trying to tell me your travel schedule. How in the world do you keep up with all this, dude?
I got the best manager in the business. So she juggles the schedule for me and tells me where to be. She tells me where I'm staying. She tells me where my flight's out of, make sure I'm there on time.
And this isn't even your wife.
No. Most guys have wives to take care of such a thing. I do not. I have a manager.
So one of the things that we like to do here when we're doing Indy Sports Show Live and YouTube Live is to get to know the person. And you've had a great storied life. You were a former drill sergeant. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
You make a great transition into fishing professionally from a drill sergeant. Tell me about that.
Well, I was in the Army for almost 9 years, active duty, and I enjoyed every minute of it. I was an engineer. I ran heavy equipment, served most of my time with combat engineers, and I got to do a lot of fun things. And one of the greatest things I ever got to do was put on the Brown Round and push privates through basic combat training at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri for a couple of years. And that was quite the experience. And after that, I got out and I got in the real estate business, and still to this day own a real estate brokerage right outside the front gates of Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri.
Well, I'm a commercial real estate broker, so I feel your pain, buddy. I feel your pain. But on the other hand, you've taken that and transitioned since 2013 full-time as a professional bass fisherman. You also, again, kind of behind the worldwide thing, there's that person, and you've got quite a reputation as a jokester.
Oh, yeah. I was a fat kid growing up, still am.
Welcome to the club.
So, I might have got harassed a little bit when I was in school, but I took it in stride as any chubby little kid would.
So do you have any go-tos in the boat? You got maybe you're bringing somebody new in the boat, and all of a sudden do you have a go-to? Do you have some lines that you like to use? Do you have some pranks? What do you do?
Most of the time, if I've got a place that I can, like on Table Rock, for example, I got this one particular, if the lake level is 918 feet, I can cut through this real narrow part of an island, and you're going to have willow limbs hitting you. Now, if it's below 918, if it's 917.80, don't do it. So if I got somebody new,
a joke, that sounds like hell.
Oh, it scares them. It's fun. It's fun though. I just take my Ranger right through it at a high rate of speed.
So you've kind of transitioned, obviously full time, and you've had great success. What's a week in the life like for you? Maybe 2 weeks in the life. And I know show season is different, but just for those that may not realize how hard it is for what you do, and I know you love it, what's a couple weeks like for you?
I'll just give you a couple weeks. The last few weeks, my buddy Ish Monroe, who's also going to be on the tank today, he's a full-time touring pro. Him and I flew last night from Orlando here to Indianapolis, and we'll fly back Sunday night to Orlando. We'll get in our trucks. We'll head to Okeechobee, start practice Wednesday. Last week I was in Eufaula, Alabama for the new Major League Fishing Bass Pro Tour. Before that, I was at a show at, I can't even remember. I've been to Kokomo, Indiana, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Chicago, Martinsville, Virginia, Indianapolis, going to New York, going to Guntersville to work the Bassmaster Classic after that, and tournaments in between.
So you come to this, the largest sports show in the country, and a lot of those that you mentioned, like the one just up the road, which was in Kokomo, they had a bass fishing university there. You get to see the broad spectrum. You get to see the whole shooting match like you have here, from the power sports to hunting to flying, fishing, and adventure camps to... We just had a guy here that's opened up glant fitting. He can outfit your campsite. It's all here for you. What's it like when you go to these different places, the cultures, the traditions? Is it hard to kind of adjust to where you're at?
No, it's not. It's not hard at all. It's fun because every show you go to, or every show I go to, I get stopped on my way here, for example, I got stopped twice. Fans are, it brings to the forefront how big fishing is, because everywhere I seem to go, attract a lot of fans, come up to me, sign autographs, say hi, and I feed off that. I like that. That's a lot of fun.
So I got to ask, I'm wearing your brand here. What's worldwide? Where'd that come from?
Well, I was
because you're a humble guy.
I was very fortunate in the real estate business. I had great success in the real estate business, and it was all about branding, and marketing, and guerrilla marketing. And I took that to the bass fishing world, and found out that if you have a brand to run with, it's just something you should do. So
did it start one night with a guy that said, "Here, hold my beer. I'm going to come up with this"? Where did that come from?
Well, it comes from things that we can't talk about here on this
in
set.
The travel cafe, we can't.
So, no, Cody Meyer nicknames most anglers out on the road, and Cody Meyer's a touring angler as well. And he gave me this nickname 4 or 5 years ago, and a few years back I thought, well, I'll just go with that. And
now you're carrying around a bag full of hats that you're selling. I stole one just for doing this here.
Yeah, I sold around 1,000 of these hats this year.
I love it. This kind of gives new meaning to check baggage fitting under the seat.
Yeah, that's right.
In addition to being a professional bass fisherman and all that you've just described and how hard that is it more of a business, or do you still enjoy it? How do you manage business and fishing?
That's a good question. I still enjoy fishing. Don't get me wrong.
I was hoping we'd get to the fishing part eventually.
Well, the business side of bass fishing, I love it. I thrive and I live for it. And then when you get a chance to go on the water and compete, I take advantage of that and enjoy it. I had a friend text me last night, and he's like, hey, we got a couple of buddies want to get together and have a little tournament. Would love to have you, and it's on this date. And it happens to be a weekend that I'm actually home. And I said, I really don't want to fish when I'm at home. I said, I want to take a break from it. So sometimes I say, I don't like fishing that much. Well, that's a lie. I do. I like it a lot.
So in the world of bass fishing, which has just exploded, I mean, did you ever think when you were growing up the type of money that's now available and follows with sponsorship and prize purse in these fishing tournaments would ever be the way it was?
No, I don't. And it's funny you say that too, Brian. I know that just a few short years ago, 5-6 years ago, the money on the sponsor side of things was way better than it is now. And I'm not complaining because I represent about 18 different sponsors here.
All over the
That's
show.
all this is for. And it's, I try to eat the elephant in one bite at a time and not in one big gulp. And that's kind of how I've done the business side is you can't be successful out there off tournament winnings. You can't pay the bills with that. I can't, and less than 10% of the field can actually say that. Unless you're the 1%ers, the Brian Thrift, the Jacob Wheeler, Kevin Van Dam, Brandon Paulinick, some of those guys there, they can make a living off tournament winnings. The rest of us have to hustle and do shows, represent product, maybe get some royalties, sponsored or royalty deals like Tackle HD's got a buzzbait world. I got a worldwide spoon.
So those are the ones you've designed and
Yes.
promote.
Yep. So
That's going to catch a big fish.
that does right there. That's what we're going to talk about when we get up on the tank. We're going to talk about this at 2 o'clock, and then we're going to talk about buzzbait in the top water at 7 o'clock.
There you go. So in addition to how it's exploded, you've seen the dramatic increase in like younger folks in college. for example,
big time.
College bass fishing, high school bass fishing. What's it like to interact with those kids that are coming up and say, I want to be just like Worldwide?
Well, I spoke to
You need
16.
a hype team, by the way, behind you. I'm Worldwide.
I got Fat Cat Newton on my side. Have you ever met Fat Cat Newton?
No.
That's my hype man right there. He's not here. I wish he was.
Somebody that's just saying, you the man, Worldwide. You the man.
Yeah, just pumps
Champ
me
is
up
here.
the whole day. I spoke to, I think, 16 different high schools last year in all. And I get requested a lot for that. But when I go talk to the younger kids, my first 30 minutes is talking about opportunities and how they present, how an opportunity might be presented in your life and you don't even know it. And I was fortunate enough in life that I had many opportunities that I didn't even know were there. And,
Like what?
well, I got stationed from Fort Drum. I left the 10th Mountain Division, went to Fort Leonard Wood on my first re-enlistment. I was there for 2 weeks. I fished a red man, which is now the BFL. I almost won it, and the first sergeant and the 5th engineers noticed that in the paper, and he come and he pulled me off the face of, I was in the 285th Engineer Detachment, and he come pulling up one day and he said, Sergeant Watson, you're coming with me. And I said, all right, First Sergeant. So he moved me from the 285th Engineer Detachment to the 5th Engineers. His name is Raymond Pruitt, First Sergeant Raymond Pruitt. And he forever changed my life, just like that. He's like, you're coming with me. I had no idea. He liked to hunt and fish, and that's where our connection was, and that's where a lot of these people here's connection is.
Yep.
And I went to work for him on the weekends dragging brush. And then I bought a riding lawnmower, and somehow I ended up with a lawn mowing business. And somehow I started doing a lot of business for Remax's property management. And then I bought my own brokerage. And I mean, it's just funny how things happen. And at no time in my life did anybody jump up with the big flashing sign and say, here's your opportunity, here's your opportunity.
But you seized upon them when they were there.
Yes.
Much like what you talked about with the explosion of not just prize winnings it's really hard to kind of keep track of all the circuits that are now morphing and changing. And you fish a particular one. Is that new to you?
Yes, the Major League Fishing television show on the Outdoor Channel was very successful. They started quite a few years ago, and I've been part of it since 2014. The show was so successful, sold a lot of ads, did super good, and 68 of the guys from the Bassmaster Elites and 12 guys from the FLW Tour, the two major circuits at the time, defected to form the new Bass Pro Tour, which is part of Major League Fishing. And this is our second year with the Bass Pro Tour. And for the first time in our sport, and most people don't care about this, but as an angler who competes, I do, for the first time in our sport, we're not paying an entry fee. So I generally will pay $43,000 to $50,000 some odd $1,000 a year in entry fees. And so this is a first major tour with $100,000 first place prize, 50% of the field gets paid, and I have 0 entry fees invested.
That's huge.
And we get a substantial amount of television recognition. We got over 850 programmable hours on Discovery Channel, the Outdoor Network, World Fishing Network, places like that. So anglers that are part of the Bass Pro Tour or Major League Fishing, we saw a great increase in our viewership and popularity and so on and so forth. So that turns into more money.
And of course you are worldwide.
I was part of the USA. I still am part of the USA bass fishing team. 2017, we got the silver medal in Johannesburg, South Africa, and 2018, we got the gold medal in Mexico fishing
what is that,
against.
Like the Ryder Cup of golf?
FIDEPS is, I think that's how it is, FEPDDS or something like that. It's a world organization for fishing. So we fished against countries like Zimbabwe, South Africa, Costa Rica, just to name a few of the countries we fished against. And people like Dave Dudley, Fred Robanis, myself, Scott Martin, Scott Canterbury, David Fritz, Terry Bolton. I feel like I'm forgetting somebody. We were all invited to fish
it's not
this.
The Oscars.
That's right. That's all right. We were all invited or asked if we would represent the country and go for a week and fish against these other countries. And I said, where are we going? They said, first we're going to South Africa. Second, you're going to Mexico. In 2019, we had a conflict with our tour, so they had to stand up a new team. They went back to South Africa. And this year in 2020, the World Championship of Black Bass Fishing is going to be in Lake Murray, South Carolina in November.
So we've talked a lot about the business and how you're a relative newcomer. And speaking of, 2013 with all the changes, you've done so well. But we had a loss this year that was pretty big in the world of bass fishing and the passing of Forrest Wood. Mm-hmm. If there's somebody that James Watson would like to meet that you haven't met yet in the world of bass fishing, who would that be before they're gone? Because we got some legends, and obviously Forrest is gone, but who would you like to meet?
Well, man, that's a good question. I don't know. I've pretty much met everybody.
People are always saying they want to meet you,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, that's right. I'm a pretty big deal. You know that.
Just ask you.
Just ask me. That's right. I don't know who that would be. You mentioned Forrest. I went to Forrest's funeral. It was a tremendous turnout. Talk about an icon in the sport. Him and Jerry McGinnis, a couple of the losses we had this year. I don't know who I would want to meet. I've met Johnny Morris to Hank Parker to Bill Dance to Roland Martin to.
You've met them all.
Met them all.
We're having Jimmy Houston. We're going to meet him next
He's
weekend.
112 years old.
But I tell you, I've talked to him a couple of times. Jimmy Houston is one of the nicest people on the planet. I call him up and he goes, "Hey, Bryan." I'm like, how'd you know my number? And he said, well, they told me we were going to be calling. But he talked to me for 15 minutes.
Okay, I'm glad you mentioned that. Jimmy Houston is the hardest working guy in the bass fishing business. The hardest working guy. I've become friends with Jimmy Houston back in 2010 and got to know him real well, him and his wife, Chris. And he's been a mentor of mine since then. And if if you ever ask me who do you want to be like when you grow up, I want to be like Jimmy Houston.
Well, let's hover here for just a second, because something that you have in common that I think he espouses is giving back. And I know you do an awful lot of work with Shriners.
Yes, 2018. Last year was covered up. I didn't get to do a whole lot. I'm proud to be a Master Mason and a Shriner. Abu Ben Adim is my temple in Springfield, Missouri. We're the 7th or 8th largest temple in the country, or in the world, I'm sorry, worldwide again. And they do a lot. The Shriners Hospitals for Children does so much for children, especially burn victims. And they take insurance, and if you don't have insurance, you need help, the Shriners Hospitals for Children will step up and help your family.
And I think that's if there's a parallel amongst a lot of the professional bass fishermen, and frankly all the professional sports, but you guys in particular as a community, there's some passion that you have that's outside the boat. And people don't really see that. You promote it, you talk about your relationship with Shriners, but that's a really good thing that I think people need to understand is you give back an awful lot.
You bet. We, with the help of all my fans in 2018, I ran a campaign when I was fishing the FLW Tour, and with the help from all my friends and sponsors and anglers, my competitors, we raised $22,000 for the Shriners Hospitals that year.
So we've talked about the business, a little bit about yourself. One of the things that's unique, especially with, I'm going to call you one of the, even though you've been around a while, you're still young by a lot of standards in terms of professional bass fishing, because you threw in the Rolands, the Bill Dances, the Jimmy Houstons. The Instagrams, the YouTubes, the Facebooks. You got nearly 50,000 followers alone on Instagram. God only knows what on Facebook and everything else. That has to be kind of humbling.
Well, I got to give all that credit to my manager, Michelle. She juggles all the social media, and we sit down every Friday, or we get on the phone every Friday, and we try to answer every piece of fan mail we get, whether it's on
Both
Facebook, all two of them, on Facebook one and Instagram one, and we sit down and we do that. But all I have to do is send Michelle a little bit of verbiage and a picture, and then she'll paint that picture real well on the Instagram for me. YouTube's growing big time. There's things that I'm not doing in the fishing business that I need to be doing, and that's the YouTube, all right? Yeah. Dave Dudley, if you're on YouTube, go to Dave Dudley's YouTube and subscribe. I want to be like Dave when I get my YouTube up and running. I have like 1,200 subscribers, but I'm not GoProing enough.
Yeah.
And
you're not like Scotty Martin?
Scotty Too Hottie Martin? No.
He showed up here last year with his GoPro on. He had one here. He had one in his hat.
Yeah, carrying one.
Yeah.
He's got one in his coffee mug. You name it, he's got it.
And I was like, wow, you take that seriously.
That dude is on top of it. He's a hard-working guy. Scott,
well, he grew up in a great family, too.
Yep. Scott,
well, you've mastered an awful lot. You've had a great life and a great history. Do you like to teach?
Are you saying I'm fixing to die?
No, I'm going to get to a legacy question in a little bit. So, would you rather be up in the hog trough? Would you rather be in a booth gripping and grinning? What do you like to do?
I'd rather be in the bass boat, catching fish and making fun of things.
Yeah. Keeping things light. That's what I like about you in the short time we've gotten to know each other. So now I'm going to ask you about your legacy. I know you got a long run ahead of you. You've been very successful. But when it's all said and done, how do you want to be known?
I hope that I can catch enough fish and make a mark in the bass fishing world and stay in the business long enough to maybe even make the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame, which is right there in Springfield, Missouri at the Bass Pro Wonders of Wildlife Museum.
I've made that jihad. It's a nice place.
It is. So, no, I want to, my dad taught me a long time ago, if you don't have a reputation, you don't have anything at all. And I just want to have a good reputation as being a nice guy, a fierce competitor, and somebody that if you need something, I want to try to help you. And that's what I want to be known for.
So along the same lines, is there anything that you haven't done yet that you want to do that's on your bucket list? What's on a bucket list for worldwide?
I do want to do more worldwide travels. I'd like to go to Brazil and catch peacock bass. That's one of the things I'd like to do. I don't want to do anything. There's a couple of things I won't have anything to do with. I don't want to have anything to do with cold weather, and I don't have anything to do with bear traps. Okay?
Fair enough. I think you're in the right business. And I always like to ask guys like you who are teachers and mentors, and you've already talked, you've been mentored by a lot of great people. What's the best piece of fishing advice you've ever received?
The best piece of fishing advice that I've ever received is stay humble. You're going to have those days where you feel defeated and crushed. And somebody told me this a long time ago. We were riding home from a tournament, and I was told, don't worry, there'll be a tournament next weekend. You can go maybe catch one in.
So one of the things that strikes me, and you've already talked about this many times, but final question here. You've talked, and I know you guys have a lot of fun on tour. You talk about guys giving other guys nicknames, and you bust each other's about, the GoPros and the YouTubes and the celebrity status. How do people look at you? How do your peers call you? What do they say about you?
Well, they probably make fun of my fishing skills most of the time, but we mentioned a lot of
okay.
Yeah, it just seems like my career's it stays alive. All right, so every once in a while I'll hit a home run, and that you need that in the tournament business. You need to hit a home run every once in a while. But my friends, you mentioned like Scott Martin, and I mentioned like Dave Dudley, who I met in 1995 when I was stationed at Fort Drum, New York. All these guys, me included, Gerald Swindle, at any given moment, one of these guys is going to call you, and you're going to talk about the woes of bass fishing, or how good you did, or how crappy it was, or whatever. And that's a lot of the fun. The camaraderie in this business is what I live for. I remember last time I won a tour event on Norris Lake in Tennessee. Before I could even get to my truck, I had 390 some odd text messages from when I hoisted the trophy up to getting to my truck.
Yep. Well, I encourage people, if you follow any social media, go to the real James Watson at Instagram and other places at Facebook and YouTube. You've been great. Don't ever give up that sense of humor, because I can already tell.
That's all I got. That and my good looks. That's all I got, Brian.
Let's go with the humor part first. There's not enough lipstick for this right here. At the end of the day, thank you, my friend. I know you've got seminars this afternoon. You're going to be spooning, and you're going to be top watering.
That sounds kind of dirty,
doesn't
it?
I know. Spooning for fish.
For fish. Not to stay alive.
And I'm keeping the hat.
You're keeping the hat.
My friend, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
As always, we love to have some good times. The real worldwide James Watson. We're talking a little bass fishing. That's the reason you guys should come out here. All the great seminars that are on the Hog Trough over in Tackletown next weekend at the Deer Turkey Waterfowl Expo, 66th Annual Ford Boat Sport and Travel Show, Indy Sports Show Live. You can't miss it. The Travel Cafe is alive and well. We're going to be back at 2 o'clock with another legend. This time we're going to sit down and do a little kayak bass fishing with our good friend Chad Hoover. We'll be back at 2 o'clock. Don't go anywhere.
Let's go get a drink.
Yeah. It's all good. When we come back, we'll see you at 2 o'clock.
What is the best way to reach your customers? Have you tried traditional marketing and fallen short? Use video marketing from NKT Productions. It's effective, economical, and it can be used across multiple devices. Capture your customers where they spend their time most, on TV, websites, email, and social media. Don't miss your chance to show the world how great your business is with video marketing. Experience the power of video marketing through NKT Productions. Meet with one of our experienced media agents to learn more.